I feel like my pockets are like I just left the casino and are filled with so many coins. I
Yes.
a jackpot. Like seriously,
Yeah.
I was stuffing stuff in my pockets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking all of this treasure
Yeah.
and taking it with me.
But she was
God,
just a joy. I enjoyed her
it
so
was
much.
so dang good.
Oh, good. I love that she talked on a topic that we talk about a lot with relationships. But I think that we need to hear it from the perspective of someone who's really lived it, because a lot of the time, a lot of the people who speak on relationships either are single or are like have been with their spouse for a long period of time. But to hear someone who went through, like I said, a lot of my friends are single moms, and they you know are at that point where their kids are getting older and they feel well, just unsure about getting into a new relationship at this point in their lives, or whether they want to have more children and things like that. So to hear her share that, I think that there's so many people, especially right now, who are in that boat where they're like, just uncertain, like they've gone through so much turmoil with relationships, and they're just unsure whether or not it's even worth it to try something new. But to hear her success story and trying something new in her 40s, having two toddlers, like that, to me, I love hearing those type of stories to just show that it's possible and it's not too late.
It's and it kind of hits me too because it's like I am in my 40s. We talk about, and
Mm-hmm.
I will get married soon, one day,
Mm-hmm.
and would I've always said no,
Yeah.
but I don't know. She probably could have also said that at one
And,
point in.
and I think a lot of the time you feel like you have to say no because
Well,
society makes you feel like, oh, it's too late for me, you
correct,
know? And you
correct.
don't know the God that I serve is capable of doing anything. Okay.
Exactly. And like you said, I think it's more of the mindset of the culture we're in. And you just
Yeah.
like, who was it that I was listening to? Devon Franklin. Is that
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Devon Franklin.
Hmm.
He's got a new book, which I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
get.
reading it right now. Yeah.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ordering it tomorrow.
Hmm.
But anyway, he was on a podcast that I listened to, and he was just saying how who says that you have to be of such a age to do this? Who says that you can't have a baby at 45? Who says you have to have your house? Who says this? Who says that? Society says that, but
God
God
says that.
is way above that society.
I'm only on the first chapter of Devon Franklin's book, Live Free, and it's about expectations. Exactly what we talked about today. And he said a lot of the time, the reason we can't live free is because of our expectations, whether it be expectations we place on ourselves, society, or our family, or the people in our peer circle. That is what we have to eliminate in order to truly live free. And for you to be able to say, I am open to the idea of marriage and children, even, though society says it's too late for me. Who is society to put these expectations or these limitations
Limited.
on my God? This isn't me. It's not my body. It's God. It's his temple. So we have to really give him more credit, in his power and his ability to do, and to be able to go with the flow, like we say, with whatever he says, and not say, oh well, this is what I'm able to do in this age group. Do you know who God is? Like,
Right.
so we need to stop saying things to sound politically correct, or to sound like, to be accepted by societal standards.
And I think that's what he's talking about because when he was talking about the whole expecting mindset of, put so many things on ourselves. And then when things don't work out, we're so hard on ourselves and want to blame God
Yeah.
for why they didn't work out. And instead, like she was saying, Veronique, when she was saying, you just got to let go.
Mm-hmm.
If we let go of the expectations and we just expect only for God. I mean, I read a book once and he talked about, it's the expectations that we have of people that hurt us
Mm-hmm.
the most. It's because we put an expectation on someone to meet a value or a need or something within ourselves that sometimes they don't even know about. They
Mm-hmm.
don't even know that we raise this standard for them to size up to.
Yeah.
And when they don't meet it, we're hurt. we're upset with them, and yet God is like, stop doing that,
Yeah.
because man will always hurt you. Doesn't matter. I had this conversation with my son not too long ago. He was so upset. He was so upset when I told him, you have upset, you have
Yes.
disappointed, you have let me down. I expected of you. And he was like, what? No way. Maybe when I was a kid or something. And I was like, no, this is the thing. You have to know that people are going to let you down because we have some expectations of them that are just not going to always be met.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be what seems like little things, but in that moment, it's a big thing. And Devon talked about that too, about us placing expectations or projecting our own thoughts on other people. A lot of the time, it's either our own limitations or restrictions that we have that we place on ourselves that makes us look at someone else and judge them, and because they're not meeting an expectation, or it's our own insecurity.
Mhm.
We want there's things that we feel that we're lacking or that we need, and we place these expectations on people to meet those needs or whatever. And it's like, that's not what I was created to do. I'm not created to be your 30% of your 70%. I'm created to be me and you to be you. And we want these people to, I think that's why a lot of relationships fails, because we expect people to make us happy, to give us joy,
Yep.
to complete us. And no person on earth is ever going to do that. No person is capable of doing that. So we really, really have to save ourselves from disappointment and sadness and depression and whatever else. We have to release people of expectations, especially unspoken expectations.
Especially those unspoken ones. And there's so many unspoken ones that go out.
Yeah.
I have friends that are now starting to date again, and they are in
Mhm.
new dating relationships and get so upset when the guy doesn't do
Doesn't
what,
open the door or
like, well, did you tell him? Well, I
Mhm.
shouldn't have to tell him. He's 30 something years old. He should know. And I'm like, well, if you didn't tell him, how is he supposed to know?
Yeah.
It's like in the north, in New York, where I'm from, opening doors, not a big deal.
Mhm.
Not a big deal. Like
Mhm.
when I came down here, it was a culture shock for me. I had a
Mm.
guy that was like fighting with me to not, or he would lock me in the car,
Oh.
tell me, don't you dare touch that daggone door handle.
Mhm.
I come and open the door. Okay, so I've now learned to where it's like my expectation now is you open the door for me.
Mm.
And so how do you make that expectation be known? Well, if you stand at the door and like,
Yeah.
after you could get the door for me, please, thank you.
Mhm.
But if you don't say nothing, then how could he, it's like it's not fair. And but they get so upset when I say that. They're like, oh, you're just taking their side. I'm like, I'm not taking nobody's side. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, you're penalizing somebody for something that they have no idea that you are
Yeah. And
needing them.
there's a difference between standards and expectations. I feel like there are certain standards that we shouldn't, go below. Like we shouldn't accept disrespect. We shouldn't accept, certain things that we just know are like our standards for ourselves. But then there's expectations that need to be spoken, that need to be, that are attainable and that are something that you should do as a spouse or as a friend or as a son or daughter or whatever. But then there's those expectations that we just want somebody to like, you know, to do that are just unnecessary, that's just for us, and it's like, and you can speak those things and they can determine whether or not it's something they want to or can meet. But we really have to learn to like categorize those things so that we're not wallowing in disappointment. Because I know I used to be that person where I just expected a man to know what I'm thinking and to like do it, like he don't know what's in your mind. And even if he did, he may not want to do those things.
Wasn't
So
the way you were raised.
exactly.
Maybe he was not raised in a home
Yeah.
that was his culture. And
Hmm.
you have cultural differences too,
Hmm.
cultural standards. Like
Yeah.
we talk about Spanish culture, like serving the men.
Hmm.
know, and for a while I had conformed to that, but it wasn't because I was serving the man. I was making sure he wasn't getting the pork because he said he didn't eat pork.
Yeah.
I was just doing that. And then when I would stop doing it, it was like, wait a minute, why aren't you serving me? I'm like, what? Serve you? Wait, serve
Hmm.
yourself. I was only serving you when you were on this no pork thing. Now
Right.
you eating the swine and eating the pork, you can,
You can go at it.
you know.
Right.
But there is that. But then we also have to be mindful of the double standards. Because sometimes we will have a double standard. Like, don't curse at me and call me out my name, but I can call you out your name and curse at you.
Mm.
Why is it okay for you to do it to them and not for them to do it to you? It shouldn't be done, period. But don't, double standard it, or
Mhm.
oh, we must communicate on text when he's like, I'll call you, or she's like, no, you need to call me. He's like, well, we communicate on text. Now all of a sudden you're changing it. Now you want me to call you? Like
Yeah.
so there's just so much of expectation that we put on people, and I try to be mindful of not expecting much from people.
Mm.
Just let it be. And it is very, very hard. It is very hard. And Devon talked about it a little bit on the book too, just like you hold things inside of you that you really want people to do things. And when they don't, it is so we take it so bad.
Yeah.
Take it so bad, and then we project our pain.
Mhm.
We're judging someone, like I think he talked about in the podcast. It's like we're not really. It has nothing to do with that person. It has more so to do with me. And so what we need to go back to God and be like, okay, God, what is in me that I
Mhm.
need to work out?
Yeah.
This is not good.
It always comes back to us, always, because a lot of the time when we expect things from people, it's because of, like you said, maybe the way we were raised, or maybe something we were lacking growing up, or something that we desire, so we have to look at ourselves and like, what is causing me to yearn after this? And then it's also, I feel like, we often give to others the way that we like to be given too. That goes back to like that love language thing. We often expect people to love us the way that we love, and that's not the way the world works. Unfortunately, they're going to love you the way that you love, or they love rather. And so we I think that's another way that we get really frustrated in trying and putting these unattainable expectations on people because they don't even love that way. So
It's just like, so sit down and talk with them about the love language.
yeah.
Let people know. And I've had to do this a few times to say, like, this is my love language.
Mm-hmm.
Affirmations, gifts. That's my love language.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else maybe touch, affection, like, what's that
Yeah.
called? Personal touch or whatever,
Physical
but
touch. Yeah.
know that. Or you could be in a relationship with somebody else, which I've had friends who that have been in relationship with other people and they've been in them for so long, they're just used to that one person who has been with them for a long time that has learned how to,
Exactly.
right? But yet now they're in a new relationship and they can't. And I remember, like, when my dad first passed away, my mom and I have always been close, but my dad, when he was alive, he would buffer between my mother and I.
Mm.
He would, like, when we would not get along, my dad would have to come and be like, little girl, you need to go talk to your mother.
Yeah.
What you said the other day or what you did, you need to make amends with your mother.
Yeah.
My father first passed away, he passed in June. Um, and then, like, it was like July or August or something. And my mom was mad with me about something. And she was, she could be like a 2-year old. She wasn't talking to me and she was giving me the silent treatment. And that's not me. Like, I want to know what it is. Let's confront it. Let's lay it on the table. Let's hash it out. And then, sorry, apologize, move, you know? Don't give me the silent treatment. That is the worst thing you could do to me. So she was giving me silent treatment. I was like, well, what's the problem? And then she would tell me nothing. And I would say, well, if there's nothing wrong, then why are you not talking to me?
Right.
And she would just give me that look, that mom look, like, look into your soul, like, kind of thing. And I was like, I don't get it. So I wound up getting upset with her and I said, listen, here's the truth of the matter. My father is not here anymore to buffer between us. So if you got an issue with me, you need to tell me what your issue is. I'm not psychic. So when I ask you, what's your problem? And you tell me nothing, then guess what I think? There's nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so you have to tell me. And that came because my parents were married for 33 years before my father passed. So my dad knew, and at the time, I was probably like 32 or 31. So I was just learning to know my mother in this adult phase of my life. So you know your mother as a child, but when you're an adult, it's a different relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up on the signs, and because I had my father buffering. And so it came to like her finally taking a few months of this happening to get to now, if she's got a problem with me, she's going to let me know now. And, but it's this unexpected, like she figured I should know.
Mm-hmm.
I should know what I said was upsetting to her. But I'm like, well, to me, that didn't sound like it was so upsetting, but I guess the person perceives it. They take
Mm-hmm.
it away. But, it's just unmet expectations. So I try not to have them.
And sometimes we even expect people to receive confrontation the way that we do, because I know sometimes I avoid confrontation. Like I'm like your mom, I feel like in a lot of ways, because I don't receive it very well. So I don't project it onto others. I don't confront issues because I know I get easily offended, you know? So I don't want to get to a point where I offend you and now we're not talking at all because I confronted this issue, because I might would have responded that way. So it's like the reverse of the expectations of thinking someone's going to respond the way that you do. And we really I know for me, we need to just grow up and be honest and be able to learn how to have those conversations. And if the people that can't receive them, then they may not necessarily need to be a part of your life. But I
So
think
true.
that
So
we
true. I mean, you
can.
should be able to say what you got to say,
Mhm,
I feel, and
mhm,
in a way that is respectful, in a loving, kind way. Christ talks about it, right? Jesus says that you ought to talk to people in love first,
mhm,
because then their ears are open. But when you start yelling at somebody, you start calling them out their name,
mhm,
you start undermining them, and that is like when they're talking and you're like, and you're
mhm,
that's undermining them. You're
mhm.
not listening. So you might as well just cut the conversation.
Yeah.
That just shows you don't have respect. And so it is a balancing part to, this thing, because we are humans. And I kind of wonder, where did we get this expectation thing from? And I don't know, I'm putting it out there now. I think it's from God. He expects us to love him and to worship him first and to be wanting to do the things he wants us to do. The Bible clearly shows the Israelites was not doing none of that.
Mhm,
Worshiping him the way that he wanted. They were being defiant, and God was constantly like getting angry. I just read a scripture the other day. I think it was Hosea. And he brought me to the book of Hosea, and he was very angry, God. He was very angry in this text that I was reading. And he was like, I'm gonna punish you and da 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 da. And God only wanted for them to just love him and to worship him. And so when they finally got their act right, I'm paraphrasing, don't come for me, Bible scholars, please don't. When they finally got, their act right, then God just was like, I love you. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to do this for you. So I think we do get it from God. And that's why sometimes I joke with them. I'm like, well, take away the free will. Take away the free will. I would not have these bruises. I will not have these lumps and scars if you just took away my free will.
mhm.
Because, having the free will gets me tripped up,
Yeah.
always showing up for God and putting God first or doing this because I'm human. You know what? I'm not always. The V talked about it that she got to you herself. She's got to reset herself, you
Yeah.
know. And so I just think like that's I guess the expectation thing came from God.
Yeah.
He expects
That's
us.
what I'm always asking God, like, make my will your will. Make me desire the things that you desire for me, because it's so easy to slip up into temptation or slip up into the things that, are make us feel good, and I think that, like you said, God does, just like we talked about in the podcast, we need to expect from God, like we need to believe what we've seen he's able to do. Like we also, know that he has expectations of us. So, and I think that we even do need to be cognizant of the fact that others have you're a mother, that your son, especially when he was young, he expected you to provide food for him, or he expected, just common things. So I think that we should be expectant, especially from this all powerful God that we have access to, who loves us unconditionally. And then also know that he has expectations of us, and that we need to just be able to meet him, where he wants us to meet him.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the saying, God, let my will be your will. You know, I don't know about you, but you know, COVID having us locked in or whatever, it's pretty easy for me to stay and do God's will,
Mm-hmm.
right? And not so much temptation around there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Restrictions are off, right? All mask or gloves, we'll say gloves off, you know, but mask is coming off now. And people are out there and people are out doing things. And, you know, it's just like, oh well,
Mm-hmm. I could dibble and dabble in
I can
this.
I can go hang out here, I can go do this. And it's like, wow, is that really what God wants for me?
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. You talked about dieting earlier too. It's like, or V talks about eating a cheeseburger or whatever, you know, and it's like, we we just there's just got to find this balance of like, yes, God, doing your will. And that's why I think when we talked about earlier, the Holy Spirit is the one that's going to help us to stay in line. That's why I'm so grateful that we have the Holy Spirit to help
Mm-hmm.
us stay in line, you know, like to just give us these subtle reminders, you know, like V talked earlier about the spirit, soul, body. And right away, my whole spirit inside of me was like blaring because I just had that call with my coach and we just went through this discussion. And so that was God confirming to me I'm on the right path because I had journaled it earlier in my journal. Come to talk to my coach about something, she brings it forward to me, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And I pull out my journal. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I actually had this. And then here comes V bringing that thing
Mm-hmm.
full circle, you know? And so, because I'll be honest, my coach, she's not a believer. She's not like a Christian, you know? And so I kind of was like, like when she was telling me stuff, I was like, she's,
Yeah.
you know, but I have to always pull back and be like, God will use a daggone donkey to get his message across.
Oh yeah.
You think the donkey was worshiping God? No. You know, so it's like God will use whoever he needs to for whatever reason. And so I try to show the Holy Spirit, like, no, coach, you know, no. But then here came V, bringing it full back again. And it's like, okay, yeah, God, I see you.
I see you. You're speaking to me.
Thank you. Appreciate you, boo.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is a good conversation, and I'm definitely going to be more mindful of just being really truly expectant with what I pray for, to just really, really believe. Because if we're putting all these expectations on people, how much more should we expect from God?
Girl, listen, I don't know if you've even tracked this back, even back to February when we were in Florida and we went on that walk in the community that day.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about the whole
Mm.
the unexpected,
Yeah.
and just expecting from God.
Yeah.
God is like Lillian and Renee. If y'all don't listen to me
I
and you
didn't.
talking
How many times have I told you just amongst each other, to each
amongst each
other?
other, and then I just brought in V with the
Yeah.
like the good old word, you know, like, come on, girls.
Yeah.
go. I'm ringing the bell.
Ooh, come on. I needed this today. Come on, God. But God.
This is really making me to, like she said, the whole trust part too. And that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I trust the Chick-fil-A person more than I trust God. That is so backwards.
It
When
makes
you
no
think of
sense.
it in that way, like I would, in my natural mind thinking, I would not say that.
Yeah.
Okay, I trust you, God. I trust you for here to the end of the world or whatever. But yet when I lay a prayer request down and it doesn't go well, I'm not trusting you and I'm upset. But yet I go to Chick-fil-A and place my order and
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident that I'm gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, I gotta get my language and the actions that I put behind it, right? Because faith without works is dead. And so, in order for us to trust God, we've got to take some action. There has to be some behavior changes that happen, and vegan on it a little bit. And so, it's like, I hear you, God. I'm telling you now, I hear you. And I'm going to be making some adjustments here, and I'm not settling. I like when she said, don't settle for Ishmael when God wants to give you Isaac.
That's a
Or,
word. I ain't never heard that one, but that's perfect. Like
okay,
you
I
trying to make something. That's because that's what they did. That's what Abraham and Sarah did. They tried to make a son. They tried to make the promise. God gave them a promise for a son, and they tried to create it for themselves. And meanwhile, God had the promise. You just gotta wait.
they tried to like make a wedding cake in the microwave.
Mm.
You, what kind of cake you think you're gonna get in the microwave? You want your wedding cake to come from the microwave, or do you want your cake to have someone that's measuring the flour, measuring the sugar, and taking the time or whatever? Like, we have to get out of this cycle of instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's not the way the world was created, and that's the point, period, like, end of it.
Yeah.
Yes, we as humans, we have made things happen faster. But the one thing, and I think I said it once before, is we have not created babies faster. Hello. We cannot create a baby in less than 8 months, 9 months. You can't. Like these doctors, they want to try to, but you can't, because at the 37th week, which is the most important week, is when the baby's lungs are formed. So they try not to take a baby before them. A baby born premature before that time frame is in a NICU, is in really like intensive care, being watched over to make sure that they make it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, people, if the world was created the way that God created it, and it wasn't in an instant, and scriptures and scholars talk about 7 days, but when you really think about one day is 1,000 or 10,000 years or something like that, it took longer than 7 days. We tend to think this is how it is, but we have to think like, you know what? I don't want instant gratification. I want to trust God to take me through this process, and even whatever this process is going to take time. Our habits and the things that we have going on in ourselves and our lives and our beliefs, they didn't come 45 minutes ago.
Mm.
45 years of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And it doesn't get done by taking a 6-week course or sitting in a 1-hour webinar. No,
Right.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Sickness and diseases don't just disappear from one pill.
Mm.
Now, there are some the exception. There are the exception, but it's only by God is the exception. The but God. This is the only exception. One thing I want to report on here is Pastor Steve, who we had on here a few weeks ago. Okay. Pastor Steve was on here a few weeks ago, and he talked about going and sitting in the hospital going for his cancer treatments. People of God, I'm letting you know right now, Pastor Steve is healed. He is, the doctor
Hallelujah.
find any cancer in his body. Okay?
Mm.
God. That is but God.
But God.
That is but God.
Yeah.
He shared that on his social media post the other day, and I was thinking, we need to let the people know that
Yeah.
you heard it here on this on this podcast what he went through, because he was very, very clear with it and transparent.
Yeah.
And we prayed for him, and you guys have prayed for him,
Mm-hmm.
but God.
Yeah.
That's the only time
Hear
you
those testimonies. We need to hear those testimonies because that's what people come here for. I believe that that's what people come here for because there's a lot of us who are hurting. There's a lot of us who just endured things that we couldn't even imagine. A lot of our viewers, I'm sure, have encountered, but to hear his story, to see that even he got to a point of frustration with what he was encountering and what he was going through. It's like, I'm your soldier. I'm out here on the field, working for you, and you've allowed me to encounter this, but to get to the other side and to be able to have this testimony. But God, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
That's why we do these
Yeah.
interviews. We bring everyday people. Some may have titles of ministers and pastors, but they're people. Those are just titles. They don't define them.
Mm-hmm.
When they go to the hospital, it doesn't change for them to get special treatment. They still got to get the IV, the temperature taken, and the heart rate and all that stuff done just the same way we do.
Yeah.
We want to just share with people to know that, like V said it before she closed out, God's got to be in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
God's got to be in the middle, and God is in the middle. God is in the details. It's one of the things I love to say is God is in the details. He cares about us so much. He took so much time to prepare us. That's why I know it can't be no 7 days that he prepared this world. He had to take long time to pull a woman.
That's why, like you said, days are very different, I believe, to God than they are to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have to, it's like, it's so encouraging when we have people like V. I feel like I just got a drink off a freaking fire hydrant. That's how much water was coming out from her, pouring out and just reminding us of the things that, like I said, in our mind, we think one way, but our behaviors show a different thing.
Yeah.
Our mind says, oh God, I trust you. I believe you and believe in you. I know you're going to do it for me. But our behaviors is like, God, where you at? Where you at?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you didn't hear me. Maybe I need to go to another person. Maybe this pastor isn't anointed enough. Let me go to this one. Maybe I need to go to that revival service. Maybe I need to fast for, 15 days. Maybe I need to read the Bible. We get all of these things and put all of these things in front of God when he's like, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. Sit down. Are you done? He's like in the corner, like,
yeah.
I'm waiting.
Mm-hmm.
You'll run yourself ragged. When you run yourself ragged, little girl, and you fall out,
I'll be right here.
Then I'll come and take care of you.
Yeah.
I started it off when saying as a toddler, like I feel like that's how God is with me. It's like, don't date that guy. Don't date that guy. And it's like I heard somebody else say the other day, like there's the feather, the brick, and the Mack truck. So feather comes to just nicely warn you. God has done this to me. Nudge me.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't for you. Don't pay attention to the feather. Something else happens. Here comes the brick. Like, oh, dang, that hurt. But I'll get over it. It'll go away. Move on. Then it's like, wham. Okay. What the heck just happened?
Right.
And I say all the time to God, that's why I'm trying to get better with it. I'm tired of getting hit with these Mack trucks. I'm tired of it. They hurt. Let me just get the feather.
Yeah.
I don't even want the little like brick. I don't want the brick. I just want the feather. Let me pay attention.
It's like that's on you.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the feather.
Like, do you go to church? Are you believing in God? Like, how's your relationship with God? Oh no, okay, bye, next. Because if I say, okay, there's the feather, then when I get involved and we grow deeper, like you were saying with the guy that you were saying, it's like
the hurt is bad.
Goodness, right? It doesn't hurt as bad, it's like
just like adjusting. It's like you feel it, but then you don't feel it anymore. Then
much damage.
Yeah.
Then there's damage.
Exactly.
There's damage, like, and I'm trying to do damage control.
Yeah.
Already a lot of damage control stuff that I'm dealing with here that I'm trying to mend and put back together with God. I'm not trying to get locked up and break any more bones or have any more bruises and scars or whatever. So,
Mm.
Lord, if He ain't for me, this is what I say every time I meet a guy. Lord, if He ain't for me, you need to show me now. Show me now. Show me now because I'm not putting in the time.
Mm-mm.
And He will show me. He shows me every time.
Yeah.
Got to be the one to look at and say, like, do I really want to trust God? Because then that's when we start putting man over God.
Mm.
Ask God for something, He showed you, hmm, shh, go over there.
Yeah.
And you stay in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened to me too. And then I get hit with the daggone Mack truck, and I'm over there wondering, God, why you had to do like this for?
Yeah,
Why?
honestly.
I'm tired of this. I'm too old for this. Why did this? Why did that? Why? And He's like, I gave you the feather.
Yeah, pay attention to the feather, okay?
Listen,
Pay attention. So
expect from God. So I'm now going in this whole thing like I'm expecting from you, God.
I'm expecting from you, God, and I'm really like truly expecting it. Like I'm walking as if it's already so. Okay, it
And
is already so.
I really want to get to, and I'm gonna even be praying for this for myself too. Like I'm saying, I'm expecting for God, but if I'm not, Lord, show me where I am not acting in accordance to what I'm saying.
Mm,
My words and my actions have got to now start linking up.
yeah.
My body language has got to start linking up with my spirit and my words.
Hmm.
Because that sometimes is something that happens too. Our body language says something different
Oh yeah, absolutely.
or something else. So
Absolutely.
expecting the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected. I love it. I'm so grateful for Veronique and this conversation.
It was good. It
It was good.
was good. Now I got to get a copy of that book. I did not know she had a book.
Yes,
I got
yes.
you better write your book, girl.
I know. It's on the agenda.
Let's get on it.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the after show. I'm Renee Nicole, as always.
And I'm Lillian, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.